Hi there, my name is Martin Stone from Switch On Health. Thank you for joining this free presentation on natural therapies for mental health. This presentation is being delivered as a part of Natural Medicine Week 2023, which is facilitated by the Australian Traditional Medicine Society, otherwise known as ATMS. We'd like to say a big thank you to ATMS for all of the wonderful work that they do to promote natural medicine in Australia. Now, if you're watching this live, please do stick around until the end, because when we stop recording, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and have a chat with myself and Sally. We do also have a special offer for you as a thank you for attending the live session. So do stick around for it. Now, if you happen to be watching this recording on YouTube and you'd like to support us in our mission to make natural health available to everyone, then please do just click on that subscribe button, because the more subscribers we have, the more we can offer. And we look forward to offering you more. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube and you've got any comments or questions, you're more than welcome to just pop them into the comments box down below, and we promise we will get back to you. If you're watching this live, again, you're welcome to put any comments or questions into the chat box, and of course, we'll have a look at them at the end. Now, I'm going to say just a quick bit about Switch On Health for those of you who don't know us already. So Switch On Health is an online college delivering qualifications in natural therapies. Our mission statement at Switch On Health is this: everyone has the right to a happier and healthier life. Now, that core belief permeates everything that we do at Switch On Health. It is why our courses are entirely online, giving you the opportunity to study from anywhere, in your own time, at your own pace, and yet still be fully supported by us on your journey. It is also why we keep our qualifications as affordable as we possibly can. We believe that you should have the opportunity to study and to follow your dream career without incurring a massive debt to the government for the cost of doing a bachelor degree. Now, for your information, we offer 4 practitioner level qualifications, which are nutrition, Western herbal medicine, naturopathy, and homeopathy. And if you don't want to do an entire qualification, that's okay. You can just do one subject. And if that's too much for you, we do also have a growing range of short courses where you can still get access to high quality information, but for a fraction of the price. Now, finally, we are the only college in Australia with an accredited qualification in homeopathy, and we are also the only college of our kind that is wholly Australian-owned and operated by an Australian naturopath, which is myself. So that's enough of the sales pitch. Tonight's session is on mental health. Now, this is a big topic these days. It is so big, in fact, that this is the first time Switch On Health has ever done a webinar where the number of bookings we've taken has actually exceeded the limit on the Zoom plan that they're on. So straight away, this tells us that it is a very big topic. A lot of people are interested in it. Now, mental health is an issue that has been continually increasing over the last few decades in the Western world. So why is this? Is it a change in the foods that we're eating? Is it some sort of environmental toxin exposure, like exposure to electromagnetic radiation, for example? Or is it due to social factors such as chronic stress, a loss of a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives, or a loss of a sense of social connection and feeling like we belong and that we're connected within our community? Or is it a combination of all these things and more? Now, whatever is causing it, it is a growing problem. Antidepressants are now among the most widely prescribed medications in Australia today. Now, the number of people experiencing mental health issues just continues to rise. So we might not be able to pinpoint why so many of us are struggling with our mental health, but one thing we do know for sure is that the antidepressant medications do not address the driving underlying causes of whatever is going on. All that happens is that our population just becomes more medicated. And most of the people I know who have taken antidepressants, they'll tell me that once you're on them, it's kind of difficult to get off them. So is there a better way? What else can we be doing to support our mental health? Well, that is what we're going to be having a look at in tonight's session. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about potential causes. What we are going to do is look at some simple strategies that you can take to improve your mental health using natural means. Now, this includes nutrition, herbal medicine, homeopathic remedies, flower essences, and simple things you can do on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to maintain your mental health and to live a happier and healthier life. Our presenter for tonight is Sally Maisie Fountain. Now, as well as being a tutor for Switch On Health, Sally is a qualified naturopath and homeopath. She's got years of experience as a practitioner, and she's also been working in education for as long as I've known her. Now, Sally has always said to me, mental health, Martin, it's about mental health these days. And I've got to say, I think she's right. I know this is a keen area of interest for her. And I can also tell you that every practitioner I speak to, they will all say exactly the same thing, which is that mental health is something they see in their clinics every single day. It is quite possibly the biggest health challenge of our time. So without further ado, over to you, Sally.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin. I'll see you on the back side of this. Guys, just so that we can, hi, I'm Sally, just so that you know, just so that we can focus on this a little more, rather than be distracted by watching me lip read and hand signals and all the rest, I'm actually going to turn my video off so that you can focus wholly and solely on what this webinar is going to be all about. So I'll see you guys on the flip side as well. Okay, hopefully smiling. All right, let's get going. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Basically what Martin's already spoken about, statistics, what is mental health, nutrition, herbs, homeopathy, mainly for acute. I do sort of say as a homeopath, if it is chronic mental health, I recommend they go and see a homeopath. Flower essences, and I'll explain a bit about those when we get there. Lifestyle strategies. And finally, I've given you a whole heap of resources at the end of this slide so that you can go and find your own stuff out about mental health, okay? It's important. So, massive topic. This is only really introductory. And we recommend that you please seek professional advice if things are becoming overwhelming. If things are just too much to bear, if you are crying overtly all the time, or angry all the time, or not dealing with your emotions to the best of your ability, then I recommend that you go and see someone, because it's not that you're weak. It's not that you're crazy. It's not that you're any of those things. You just need help. Now, I'm not a big one for news, but as it so happened, lo and behold, there was some stuff on dementia on the news today, but there was also some stuff on mental health. And mental health is now becoming one of the forefronts of illnesses. It is an illness. It is an unwellness. Okay, so it's really important to understand. And here are some of the people that you can go and see: naturopath, nutritionist, herbalist, homeopath, a GP, counsellor, psychologist, whomever suits you, whomever you connect with, okay? So stats. This is Australian Bureau of Statistics from a 2020-2021 report. And as you can well imagine, we were smack bang in the middle of a pandemic. So it's no wonder that there was 8.6 million out of 26 million people in Australia having experienced some sort of mental health disorder. Now that's 2 in 5, as you can see. That's of 16-year-olds. Now these people are teens, and I'm sure it's affecting younger people as well, but this is just 16-year-olds to 85-year-olds. And then 1 in 5 experienced this for longer than a year. And out of those 1 in 5, 2 in 5 are adolescents and young adults. It's a big old scary world we find ourselves in sometimes. And so it is vital to be able to understand what's going on with us. And anxiety, well, it goes sort of from stress to then anxiety. Anxiety, and then potentially could move on to depression. But anxiety is the most common disorder. The problem with it is that when we say we're anxious or we're a worrier or we're stressed, many, many cases go undiagnosed. So these are only the people that we know about out of 26 million people here in Australia. So as the Bureau of Statistics says, it recognises people who've lived an experience of mental health or ill health. And it does not define a person. This is what we need to get rid of, is the stigmatism in mental health. And we'll go through that in little pieces, but we need to bring this to the forefront that I can't reiterate enough. It is ill health, it is illness, it is unwellness. Okay, so it stops people from living productive, purposeful, meaningful lives. And they can't have their own unique experiences. Well, they do have their own unique experiences. So it's really important that everybody who goes through mental health has also carers and family and supporters that can assist them when they're going through what could be a dark time. What is mental health? Well, the World Health Organization says it's a state of mental being that enables people to cope. So coping, the ability to make a decision. Now, I'm not going to read this each slide as per Pat. So making decisions. The decisions such as, will I make my bed in the morning? Will I have breakfast? Do I want a coffee or a cup of tea? Simple things like that don't happen when you're in your stuff and in that mental health sort of state. You can't build relationships, so you may find yourself quite isolated. It is that whole ability to be you. This is your story. This is your life. So therefore you should be able to lead it any way you so wish, without any recrimination. And it's really important to help with your community, to be part of a community. We are, after all, pack animals, hate to say it. So we need a community. It is all about being personal, our personal development, who we are as human beings. Do we wish to sit under a rock or not? Do we wish to be out there or not? And then certainly socioeconomic, the ability to have healthcare available in remote areas, to be able to afford that healthcare, to be educated within health. They're all really significant. And the indicators, a person who's really, really distressed, they aren't able to function. These people aren't able to get up in the morning have a shower, get changed, go to work, do their do. Now, that's not to say that there aren't functioning people with mental health. There is. They are just not aware that they might be at a point where their mental health gets to become too much. Some of the biggest indicators are self-harm. Now, self-harm could be drinking yourself into a stupor every night, or taking drugs, or being reckless. It doesn't just mean that you're taking a cigarette to your arm or a razor blade, as some self-harmers do. They're the extreme. Or it might be that you want to do harm to another. I'm sure we've all had a fight with someone in our lives where we've thought, well, maybe if I just punch him in the nose, that'll make me feel okay. Maybe, maybe not. And then there's those misdirected emotional outbursts, the anger, the rage, the wanting to be heard moments where you're loud, etc. So these are indicators, according to the World Health Organization. But then there's the stigmatism. Now, the stigmatism is something pretty much different. And I just took a few words that might sort of, make people wonder, well, I want to be called crazy or hysterical. I don't want to be known as loopy-loony. I don't want to be known as, potty or strange or insane or weird or a freak or useless. Yeah? These are all words that contribute to stigmatism, that contribute to mental health. Take it from me. My name's Sally. The amount of times I've heard silly Sally in my life, I could probably be a millionaire. So we need to get rid of some of these words from our vocabulary. We need to embrace the weird within us. We need to embrace the freak within us. We need to embrace ourselves and doing us. Again, do you. As long as you're doing no harm to you and no harm to another, do you. And be kind. I want to tell you a little bit about one of my very first clients. This man was not only, he had been a work colleague of mine, but he was also the brother of a friend, a very dear friend. I still call these people my family to date. And this chap, John, had been forcibly put into a psychiatric unit when he was quite young and subjected to electric shock treatment because his family were not understanding of his sexuality, of which he was a homosexual. Now, this man endured many, many, many months of this treatment. And did it change him from being homosexual? No. Did it change him though? Yes. He became an alcoholic. When I saw John for the first time, he wanted to withdraw from alcohol, and he wanted me to help him do that because he had a court case for drinking under the influence. So I did something that, believe me, I don't do often. I've done it 3 times in my decades of doing this, where I have actually stayed within the home of this particular client to make sure that he was able to function, to make sure that he was not suicidal, to make sure that he could make his bed, eat some food, shower. Because when you're in your stuff, you're literally up against a brick wall, your nose is touching, and you have an inability to step back. So I helped John, and for many years he stayed sober. And then he met a man that he loved, and this man did him an unwell act. And so therefore he had a recession and he started to drink again, and he died too soon as far as I'm concerned, because there was not enough help for him and his mental health situation. This is just one of many, 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 but this was one of my first. And I do sort of hold it very dear to my heart still to watch him suffer the way he was suffering. Anyway, let's continue. So what is mental health? Well, it's partly to do with your beliefs and your values, you know, and there are sort of four sort of main beliefs, really. There are many, many religions, but there are mainly four belief sort of things. Whether you're a realist, an idealist, an evolutionist, or a creationalist. Martin was talking about in the introduction about how he believed that, you know, mental health could have many, many causes. My theory, one of my beliefs is that we are travelling so fast and so quickly in a technological age that is bringing us to technology that is so advanced to us as humans that, you know, artificial intelligence is breaking through. Now, in saying that, we as humans have our own artificial intelligence, I believe. It's called the brain. And it's a big sort of, you know, organ it's in your skull. And that particular organ doesn't get used properly and doesn't get used formidably. And as human beings, I'm a bit of an evolutionist. I think that we evolve. And so therefore, one of those areas that we evolve in is basically, you know, the next sort of step of evolution for us, because we've pretty much done all we can do physically, if that's, you know, if you think about it. So the next step is developing our brain power and our ability to use our brains. And so therefore, this is why we are also seeing this increase potentially in mental health. There are those that are dealing with this new world we find ourselves in, and then there's those that aren't going as well, because change at the end of the day, which is inevitable, trust me, we change every day. We change our, you know, foods, and we change our toiletries sometimes, and we change our clothes, and we change our body cells, and we change who we are. Change is inevitable, but our beliefs and values certainly have a lot to do with potentially our state of mental health. So mental health, it's a human right. It's in that slide. It's a human right to have a sense of well-being, to have a calmness of mind, to have a peace of mind, to be able to sit within yourself and just go, oh, that was just a good day, a real good day. So some of the sort of mental health conditions that you would have heard of, and some of the drugs that are used. Anxiety, as you already know, the most common of all mental health. And I think when we're in stress, and stress can then become chronic, that chronic stress can then lead to more in terms of mental health, you know, such as anxiety and depression. Post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar. You can see all of these. I'm not going to go through these in great detail, but down the very bottom there's some fact sheets that you can certainly, from the World Health Organization, have an idea if you are at all worried about either yourself or a loved one. So now we look at nutrition. Now, one of the biggest players in nutrition is, there's the macronutrients, and there's three of them: protein, carbs, you know, lipids, so fat, protein, carbohydrates. But one of the biggest ones that I believe is protein. They say that you should eat protein within 20 to 30 minutes on waking. Why? Because it releases amino acids. Why are the amino acids so important? Because amino acids help to stimulate neurotransmitters. Why are neurotransmitters so important? They're our brain chemicals. Some of them you will have heard of: dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin. We're going to go through them a little bit more in later when we get to some of the lifestyle strategies. But you can see here that there are 7 amino acids, all found in protein, whether it be animal or plant, that do things. You've got histidine, helps with anxiety, helps with schizophrenia. You've got phenylalanine, helps with reducing stress, anxiety, depression, helps with opiate and alcohol withdrawals, taurine, anxiety, mania, having high highs and low lows. It helps with neuropathy. Now, neuropathy is pain. Having pain when we're stressed makes things even worse. You've got anxiety, well, you've got tryptophan. Now, tryptophan you may have heard of, because that's what you find in a Christmas turkey, if you're inclined to eat a Christmas turkey. It's got tryptophan in it, and so you might know that it also helps with sleep. So as it says there, insomnia, again, anxiety, it's when there's decreased serotonin. We'll talk about this. If there's not enough tryptophan, it can make people aggressive. Valine calms your emotions, helps with eating disorders, helps with, with addictions. Now you can see there I've also put some foods. Did you know, just a little tidbit, sorry Martin, I'm just going to deviate slightly here. The coined phrase superfoods, first used after World War I, and the very first superfood was a banana. You can see there that bananas fare quite well in having quite a few of these amino acids. Okay? Along with almonds. The amount of people that don't eat nuts and seeds are vital. Legumes and pulses, these too are vital. So you've got foods there, tells you what the amino acids are, tells you what it does. Okay? There is one notable sort of by side there that I've put MAOIs. Now they're your antidepressants. You've got to be careful, especially if supplementing with some of these amino acids. You need to take care. It's okay to have them in your food, no problem. But if you start supplementing with certain protein drinks or things that are higher in tryptophan, it may interfere with medications that you or your loved ones may be on. So you need to take care when self-prescribing, certainly. Well, we all know about good fats by now. We all know about the difference between healthy and unhealthy fats. Omega-3 being one of the healthier fats that we need to go in search of. Your coconut oils, your avocados, your macadamia nuts, your macadamia oil, your olive oil, certainly. You're looking at that DHA and EPA. DHA, which is a component of omega-3, and I'm not going to go into the long-winded name, but you can certainly do some research. It assists in moving those neurotransmitters, so stimulating them to help regulate moods, to help with cognitive dysfunction such as depression. So the DHA in particular, and you can get supplements that are fish oils and things, and some of the more plant-based ones as well. If they're higher in DHA, then they're going to be more helpful for your mental health. I put carbs there because we need carbs. They help with energy. If you are lethargic, you're not going to feel as though you want to do much either. So if you're low in energy, you're just going to feel like, well, couldn't be bothered. So carbs are good too. Make sure they're complex. Micronutrients in particular, we're looking at the B vitamins. You can see there what B3, B6 and B12 do. Neuroprotective, so it protects the brain, helps with the synthesis, so it helps to promote these brain chemicals being active. B12 helps with the central nervous system, so it helps with little people in particular. So this is a really good one for children. So this is why we need to start off with nutritional approaches early on in life when they are very young. Two things that we don't use enough of, I believe: blackstrap molasses. I know we give them to horses, but we should be giving it to humans as well. Nutritional yeast. I'm not talking brewer's yeast, so it's not Vegemite, it's nutritional yeast. These things are fairly high in B vitamins. Make sure when you're having your B vitamins, though, that they are with all the Bs. They have to be the B complex, so it has to be all the B vitamins, 1 through to 12. And you also need phosphorus type foods. So there's our nuts and seeds again, tahini, which is sesame seeds, salmon, which is one of our oily fishes. Phosphorus, it helps activate those vitamin Bs. Some more minerals this time. Magnesium. It's one of the most underrated, I think, minerals of all, because it's the one that makes you, when you sit down at night, go, and you can just feel yourself go, that's magnesium doing that. That's magnesium that you need, that it sort of makes you go, It helps with relaxation. It helps with sleep. You know, if you're yawning a lot, if you're sighing a lot, if you've got, you know, one of those legs that bounces up and down all the time, that's magnesium. You need magnesium. Get it into you. Anxiety helps with anxiety, depression. Calcium, well, we all know calcium's good, but it doesn't always have to come from dairy. Here are some foods that it is in. Sesame seeds, again, very good for that. Manganese, now this one in particular helps with dopamine, but it is a cofactor. Now, a cofactor is a chemical that helps to make themselves. So without manganese, we can't produce dopamine properly, okay? So again, especially manganese is really important for schizophrenics. Manganese foods, maybe even a supplementation. But again, you need to be cautious as to what other medications they might be on. Zinc, again, synthesis of neurotransmitters, another really good mineral. I love zinc. Zinc's one of my faves. And if I can eat oysters every day, I probably would. So helps with the manic side of bipolar, helps with schizophrenia. A really good one zinc is for loss of appetite. So for those that are struggling with eating disorders, which is also part of mental health. Anorexics, anorexics, bulimics. Just a list of healthy snacks. You know, we all know it, really, but there is a list there for you. Again, nuts and seeds. It's time for a banana. Yeah, what more can I say? There it is there. The only problem is I picked a picture with not a banana on it. That'd be right. Where's my banana? We then look at some of the other things like supplements. Most of these things can't be found in foods, and you would have to get them through a practitioner. So, because most of them come as practitioner-only products, so you would have to get them from a practitioner, because some of them can have adverse, as it says with SAMI, it can have adverse effects with bipolar patients. The last thing you want to be doing is harm to someone, okay? You can see there, SAMI converts serotonin to melatonin. Melatonin helps with sleep. NAC may prevent schizophrenia, especially if there's a genetic predisposition. And I wanted to also talk about one of the things they're finding these days is with cannabis, if people start smoking it before the age of 25, and the same applies for alcohol, but with cannabis, if they start smoking it before the age of 25 and it is hydroponically grown, not that I'm condoning organically grown cannabis, but hydroponically grown with chemicals, cannabis is forming schizophrenia in some people. As far as alcohol is concerned, we shouldn't be drinking it before we're 25 because our frontal lobe of our brain isn't working properly yet. And this whole rite of passage that we have here in Australia, I'm sorry, needs to start to be removed, really, but I sound like I'm prohibition. So it certainly needs to be looked at. That's all I'm saying. GABA. GABA's really lovely. GABA's a really lovely one if you've got somebody who's really stressed. Give them a GABA, and within 15 minutes, they're probably feeling a little bit sort of slowed down because, as it says there, it's the brain breaks. So it helps with relaxation. So if somebody comes in, you know, to my students out there who are going to become practitioners, give them some GABA, have some GABA on hand. Once you've found out what medications they're on and making sure that it's not going to be contraindicated or interacted with anything that they're on, you can give them a GABA while you're taking their case, and they'll calm down, I can assure you. 5-HTP, you know, from the tryptophan, sleep, panic attacks, unsocial behaviour. You can see it all there. And as I said, when you're in your stuff, that's when you're up against that brick wall, your nose is touching, your forehead is touching, your boobs, your belly, your knees, your toes are all touching that wall, and you can't step back because you don't know where to go. Okay? And this is why some of this stuff will assist, and certainly being supportive and going and seeing someone will also assist. Don't be afraid. It's time to stop being fearful of mental health, you know. We're all a little bit crazy, so the song goes. And, you know, there's also another song that says, most people I know think that I'm crazy. Yeah. Anyway, move on. I can hear Martin. Thank you, Martin. Herbal medicine approaches. I'm not going to go through them all. An adaptogen helps the body to rebalance. A nervine helps to relax the body. There are several there. It tells you what they do. Look, I'm not a big herbalist, so I'm not going to go through them all. There is, though, what I will say to you, though, is Red Seal. Red Seal, they are a tea company, and they have a couple of blends that are really good for relaxation, really good for anxiety, really good for sleep, because they contain chamomile, passion flower, skullcap. Some of them contain catnip. So there are certainly, these are the teas that you are looking for, okay? If you're after a tincture, you'd need to see a professional. Some more of the nervines. St. John's wort. Now, we need to be careful with St. John's wort because it does interact with quite a few of the SSRIs, which are the serotonin uptakes, and the SNRIs. So we need to be careful if people are on mental health medications. Valerian, it can increase restlessness in some people. In some people, it can has been used for insomnia, certainly, but it can sort of alter people's dream states. So you need to be cautious of that. Kava has been known to be, for some people, hallucinogenic. So again, certainly not for children. So we need to be very wary of some of the herbal nervines that we use. As I said, try them as teas first. If you like them, you can have them as a hot tea, an iced tea in summer. I'd prefer everybody drinking herbal teas than tea and coffee, so reducing their caffeine to reduce their stress. You can put honey in it if you wish, squeeze a lemon if you wish, whatever it is that you want to do. Moving on, we're now moving on to homeopathics. Now, homeopathics are a little bit different. For those of you that don't know what a homeopathic is, it is the second most used medicine in the world, just to start with. And it is an energetic medicine. So it works more on a physics level in the body and a quantum energetic level in the body than it does in a physical way or a biochemical way. And there are some beautiful, beautiful homeopathics. As a homeopath, I believe every household should have a homeopathic first aid kit. And here are some of the first aid remedies that should be in said kit. Every household should. To be honest, I think homeopathy in this way, in first aid situations, should be taught in every school in Australia. And that's a big bloody ask and a big bloody call, but that's what I believe. I'm not going to go through each of these remedies. Some of them you may have heard of, like arnica, really good for shock, first aid. Arsenicum album, you know, mental and physical restlessness. Arginate, also known as silver. Yeah, look, there's no point in me going through each and every one of them. You can read these at your leisure. These are the ones that I would put in. But like I said, homeopathy needs to be in every household. Throw out your analgesics and your antihistamines and your anti-inflammatories and have some homeopathics instead. Not that you really heard me say that. That's probably not the best advice for those that like their analgesics, etc. But me personally, I would have a homeopathic over an analgesic any day. Ignatia. Now, the reason why this is in bold, I want to talk briefly about loss and grief, because loss and grief is sometimes one of those causations of mental health. And loss and grief is anything. It is the loss of a loved one who has died. It is the loss of a beloved pet who has died. It is the loss of a job, a house, a relationship, a friendship. It is the loss of a beloved T-shirt, that got scrunched up in the washing machine. Grief is what you believe grief to be, what you believe loss to be. Ignatia, and down the bottom there you'll see Nat Mer. Grief is one of the forefronts, grief and loss are one of the forefronts to stimulating, because we don't talk about it, stimulating mental health. We don't talk about our dead loved ones as much as what we should. We don't talk about death as much as what we should. We don't talk about the loss of jobs or relationships as much as what we should, or the loss of a home and how it affects us. Grief remedies, big ones there. Again, homeopathy, first aid in all houses. This is how you would look at taking them. The higher potencies, I would recommend you going to see a homeopath for this, but the lower potencies, 6C to 30C, you could certainly have in your own home and ready in case somebody has a panic attack in your home, in case somebody has a cold in your home, or a sore ankle, or a sore tooth, or whatever. Homeopathics are just sensational. Can't tell you enough about how great they are. But yes, anything over 200C, if you think that you're really in a state, I would recommend go to see a homeopath, and they can prescribe for more chronic conditions. Flower essences. Now, flower essences are just magically delightful. They are magically delightful because they work on the one thing that we as human beings don't like talking about, and that's our emotions. We don't like talking about when we're angry or sad. We don't particularly always talk about when we're happy. Sure, we might announce it on social media, but we don't sincerely say, I had a really good day today, or I'm really happy because this happened today, or I'm joyful, or I'm indecisive, or I'm confused. Look up words for emotion. There are hundreds of them. There are hundreds of emotions. And the flower essences are really good in turning what could be negative, as you can see there for aspen, fear of the unknown, into a positive. Go on these websites. One is the bark flowers. The other one is the Australian bush flower essences. One of the big ones in the Australian bush flower essences is boab. Boab is a beautiful tree. I'm sure some of you know about it. But this is people that have experienced sexual, physical, verbal, mental abuse, who have been prejudiced against based on their creed, their colour, their sexuality, their gender, whatever. Boab's a really lovely one there. There are some tips and things here like crowia, warrior. It rhymes, so it's easy to remember that one. Or elm for overwhelm. Elm is in the word overwhelm. So you can see what a lot of these help with. As I said, I recommend you can go on to websites and investigate further. But I use the flower essences for people who are extraordinarily hypersensitive, hypervigilant, hypersensitive, and really in their emotions. They might cry a lot when I'm in session with them, or they might get angry, or they might be just apathetic. Any one of those I would consider flower essences. I'm sure many of you have heard of Rescue Remedy. Now, Rescue Remedy is in pastels these days, which is fabulous. It is also in a spray. You can keep it in your handbag. Certainly, though, keep it away from your phone. As Martin mentioned, electromagnetic fields, we don't like them. Emergency essence is just the Australian bush flowers, similar to the Rescue Remedy. So they both do exactly the same thing. What I tend to say to people is, what do you associate better with? Do you prefer England which is where most of the Bach flowers come from, or Australia. And whatever you resonate with is generally you have a better response with those flower essences. You know, there's also Hawaiian flower essences. So, you know, if you resonate with Hawaii, maybe they're your flower essence. It could be that it's a frangipani or a hibiscus. Who knows? But flower essences help you get in touch with one's emotions. We then need to look at lifestyle strategies. Now, lifestyle strategies are one of the biggest things. These are things that you don't have to pay money for. Well, yoga classes maybe, but you don't have to pay money for, you know, affirmations. If stuff is tough, it could be that you just need to get through 1 minute at a time. If it's not as tough, it's just getting through that hour or getting through that day. Affirmations are really good. You know, make up ones. I know my cousin's not going to, you know, get upset with me, but my cousin's about to do a really good thing. She's about to do a Mongolian horse race, which is a pretty big endurance race. And one of the things that I gave her, which is one of the things that I'll show you in a minute, is that compost, you know, doing gardening is really good for self-care and for producing serotonin. And so I said to her, look, you know, when you get into those yurts with those Mongolian families late at night, just go and put your hand in some yak poo before you actually, you know, come into their house so that your serotonin levels are up. And she giggled, and that's now become her little mantra, and her little catchphrase is, yak poo, yahoo. So, you know, affirmations, it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how silly it is, it doesn't matter if it's I love myself, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, balloons are the best. Affirmations are what make you smile. Meditation. Now, with meditation, it's a little bit different. What I tend to say to people with their meditation is sit down and think about your most heightened sense, whether that be your sight, you know, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, or what you touch. If it's what you see, it might be that if you go out into nature and just watch the ocean or watch a river or watch the mountains, that's your meditation. If it's what you hear, then it might be going out into nature and listening to bird calls, or just listening to your own music that you've downloaded on your Spotify, as long as there's not too many sad songs, okay? If it's taste, it might be that just sitting down to a nice cup of tea is a form of meditative relaxation. Meditation is not sitting for an hour cross-legged in the lotus position going, Om. Meditation is what suits you, what helps you for a short period of time. It might even be that work's getting you down, you're stressed at work, go into the toilet, sit on the toilet for 2 minutes and just breathe. If it's touch, you might want to wrap yourself in a beautiful silk scarf so that you're feeling that luscious silkness, or a nice, you know, cozy jumper. And finally, what haven't I done here? Hold on, I've done see, hear, smell. With smell, consider that you could burn some incense or have a little spray bottle in your handbag that's got some essential oils on it, so that when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, you can just have a little zhuzh and a little spray. The citrus essential oils are one of the best for uplifting, okay? And look, if you can't meditate, just pause before you have a drink, or pause before you have a sip of something. Another thing that can help with lifestyle strategies is getting your friends and family, and this is one of the things that I told this cousin of mine who's doing this race in Mongolia. Sometimes, you know, if you're away from home, they might be at school or in boarding school. They might be to FIFO, so doing fly in, fly out work. They might not be, you know, with people or be able to be with people. You know, we've seen what lockdown has done to people a few years back. So getting recordings sometimes from your family and friends as to, you know, what they think of you. You know, don't get it from the ones that don't particularly like you, but, you know, get it from the ones that like you, you know. And when you really are feeling stressed, then just tap into it and go, you know, it could be your mum saying, I just think you're the bee's knees, Blossom. And that's going to make you smile, hopefully. Yoga, well, we all know yoga is magnificent. It is magnificent. Journaling, talk to yourself. Worst case scenario, if you're walking down the street talking to yourself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you're talking back. You're not crazy. Look, there are some crazies out there that talk to themselves, and you know who they are, but they're lost souls, and we shouldn't avoid them. You know, they're just lost souls. We need to be grateful. We could keep a gratitude journal. We could keep a mood journal for when we're up, when we're down, when we're feeling round and round. But talk to yourself, you know, journal. We should be journaling every day because it just gets the stuff out of our head. And if you don't like writing stuff down, then record it. Our phones all have recording systems these days. And if you don't like your own voice, then talk to yourself. Go for a walk and talk to yourself, and then you won't remember anyway. A few other things here. Fear. There's an acronym of fear by Carolyn Miss, I think it is. She was the first person to quote this. And it is false evidence appearing real. Fear is merely false evidence appearing real. So what you're seeing in front of you is not necessarily real. And we saw that during the pandemic of the media and the government and, you know, everything else that went on then. You know, those that were anti-vaxxers, those were vaxxers, those were, you know, in between. We saw fear in no matter what camp you were sitting in, there was still some false evidence that appeared real. There are a couple of Reiki phrases out there for those of you that are interested in Reiki. One of them is, just for today, do not anger. Anger puts you in the past, and so therefore you are unable to live in the now. Just for today, do not worry. Worry puts you into the future. And again, that stops you from living in the now. Positive words, we all know them. Wake up each morning and say, look, I'm breathing in those blue skies out there, and there's magic and wonderment all around me, really, sometimes. Being observant, watching, you know, being mindful. Mindfulness is a big thing to sort of help with, and part of that is observation. I'm sure somebody thought I was absolutely crackers one day outside the bank when I heard a little fairy wren and couldn't see it, so I started chattering to it in this hedge that was there and sort of said, look, I can hear you, I really can hear you, but I can't see you, and I'd really like to see you, whether you be a boy or a girl. And out pops this lovely little blue fairy wren. Look, does that make me crazy? Probably. Do I care? Not really. Prayer can be controversial, but prayer is simply being thankful. You know, saying, look, thanks very much to yourself is a form of prayer. Enjoy what you have. Know that there's hopefully still a roof over your head and food in your belly, that you're warm and that people love you. So we're going to talk about these neurotransmitters now, and I'm probably running out of time. How am I going here, Martin? I've got 5 minutes, so I've got to keep going, guys. Dopamine, this is the reward neurotransmitter. Now, it's going to increase when you eat food. It's going to increase when you celebrate little wins. It's going to increase when you complete something, when you do self-care activities, and I will do some self-care activities in a minute. Serotonin, it helps with mood, so it stabilizes the angry, the happy, the sad, the joyful, etc. Meditation, we can see it sitting out in the sun. And here is our yak poo. Yak poo, Microbacterium bacilli. It's in soil, compost, leaf mold. Probably not in yak poo, but who knows. Oxytocin, the love hormone, we've all heard about it. Really important for women who are pregnant to release their oxytocin, because that's what relaxes the cervix so that baby can actually come out. When you are releasing cortisol, the stress hormone, everything will actually not extend. So it will all tighten up. Playing with a dog, playing with a baby, holding hands, hugging a family member. Endorphins, you can see it there. There's those essential oils again. Watch a comedy. Dark chocolate. Only 2 squares though. 70% dark chocolate is what is in order, but only 2 squares. Laughter, best medicine in the world, I reckon. You know, nothing better than a good old tearful, belly, joyful laugh. Here's some links to emotions and pain within the skeletal system. You can read them at your leisure. And this is self-care. This is what you need to do daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, as Martin was talking about. Positive self-talk, set your boundaries with your time and others. So, you know, if somebody wants to drop in, get them to announce themselves first, you know, because they're encroaching on your boundaries. Take your breaks, sleep well, rest, spend time outside, walk, relax. Weekly, set a budget, do a meal plan. I know we need to these days, unfortunately, due to cost of living. Spend some time on a hobby. Something creative is always fantastic because you are getting then in touch with the left-hand side of your brain. Quality time with the crew, those that you call your tribe, hang out, spend some time, socialise, always a good thing to do once a week. Clean, declutter. Monthly, spend a whole weekend just resting. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, you're not going to get punished when you do that. And there's some people that are here today that know who I'm talking to. Okay? Go for a night out. Reflect. This is your journaling. All that journaling that you did for the last month, go back, listen to it if you recorded it, read it if you wrote it. Go and have a massage. Go and have a spa treatment. You know, look, I'm not a big mani-pedi person, but you know, good massage, I'm there. And a good road trip. You know, wherever you are. If you're in Brisbane, go to the Gold Coast, or go to the Sunshine Coast, or go to the hinterland. If you're in Melbourne, go to Gippsland, go to the Grampians. If you're in Sydney, go to the Blue Mountains. If you're in Adelaide, go to the McLaren Vale, or go to the Adelaide Hills. If you're in Perth, go to Margaret River. If you're in Darwin, I'm not quite sure where you'd go in Darwin, but anyway, yearly, celebrate who you are. Celebrate your birthday. You are an individual. You are important. Celebrate that birthday. I don't care how old you are. Celebrate it. If you want to do it for a day, a week, a month, who cares? Celebrate with others as well. Always celebrate. Social. Be happy. You know, it's a pretty... I'm going to swear, Martin, sorry. It's a shitty world sometimes, and we need to be with those that love us. We need to celebrate the lives we have. Vacate. Go on a vacation. Go on a holiday. Go on new adventures. Do new things. And a really important thing is, yes, go to a GP, but the only time you need to go to a GP is for a wellness check to make sure that you're physically okay, because that's what a GP is for. Okay? Decluttering, this tells you all about what decluttering is all about. Here are some mental health organisations that are really important depending, and there are specific ones out there. There is at the bottom a link that tells you the top 30 mental health organisations here in Australia. Life's a journey. It's not to arrive at the grave safely in a well-preserved body, but rather to skid in sideways, totally worn out, shouting, "Holy shit, what a ride." Ladies and gentlemen, gloom, doom, meltdown, and there's your little blue wren. Here are some happiness activities for you. Please drink lots of water. Please be kind. Bit of glossary, resources. Back to you, Martin.
Wow, thanks, Sally. Put on my light again. All right, excellent. Sally, thanks so much. Always entertaining when you give a presentation, and always learning new things from you. If you are watching the recording, thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope you liked it. As I said, any questions or comments, please get in touch with us either in the comments box below, or you can email us directly, info@switchonhealth. We'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And of course, if you're watching this live, please do stick around for a chat and some Q&A and learn more with Switch On Health.